Lots of injury news to get into on today's show, as we had promised in yesterday's short. Like the video before we get going if you want Tee Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase to be healthy, as both players currently battling some injuries for the Bengals. Let's begin with the new one, the surprising one from yesterday. That is wide receiver Tee Higgins. He hurt his hamstring at practice on Wednesday. He had popped up surprisingly on the injury report, limited designation on Wednesday, and then James Rapine of Sports Illustrated, I think I'm pronouncing that name correctly, if not, I'm terribly sorry, reports happened in practice, was walking gingerly in the locker room afterwards. That is a significant red flag. It is never a good... Normally, limited on Wednesday means you'll play in the game. However, it is a total unknown in this scenario because it wasn't a pre-existing injury. It was one that happened in practice from the reports out there. So it is an unknown if Higgins will be able to play this week, and I am nervous about it. He seemingly suffered the injury during practice. That's not a good sign. You know, if he had tweaked it on Sunday and was limited on Wednesday, great, he's going to be able to play. The fact that it apparently happened on Wednesday and now you've got to get it fully recovered and good to go in time for a couple of days from now to play, possible, doable, but not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, which is unfortunate. Higgins is in a contract here. A lot of buzz that maybe that will not be done in Dallas or in Cincinnati. It will be somewhere else with that new deal, whenever and wherever he ends up getting it. And you've got the anxiety of he finally looked great. He looked great against the Bills. Looked like the Tee Higgins we've seen so frequently across the course of his NFL career. And now it's, well, maybe he's banged up again. He's already missed one game because of the rib injury, so it's been kind of a bunch of unfortunate breaks so far this season for Higgins. So will he play this week? Y for yes, N for no. I want you guys to vote for me in the comment section right now. Over now to Ja'Marr Chase, as we broke down on Tuesday. He's dealing with the back injury after a hard fall against the Buffalo Bills. He went up for a honestly underthrown deep ball by Joe Burrow. It happens. Landed really hard on that back. Certainly does not appear to be a long-term injury for Chase and the Bengals, but his status is unclear. Now, Chase's tone with the media was one of concern and caution, and in general, Ja'Marr is the type of guy, and I'll give him credit for it, frankly. He's not going to risk making it worse by trying to gut through an injury, which happens all the time for players. He has a more mature approach, I think, when it comes to the injury side of it, so he'll be cautious. However, Sports Illustrated reports this. There's confidence inside the building that Chase will play on Sunday. Higgins' status is much more in the air, league sources say. Maybe that's just because they don't know a lot about the Higgins injury, but dicey entering a underrated tough game against Houston. Who is more likely to play, JC for Ja'Marr Chase or TH for Tee Higgins? This will be the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in JC or TH. Looking at the Bengals wide receiver room, if one or both of those guys can't go, it gets a little bit dicey. You have Tyler Boyd. He'll stay in the slot. You can play Trenton Irwin. Andre Yoshivas, I think, has earned some trust the same way Irwin has done in the past from Joe Burrow. He'd be able to go. As we'll get into later on in today's video, very decent shot. You have Charlie Jones back this week as well, but he's kind of more of a slot receiver too. And God forbid one or both of Chase and Higgins are out, and you're thin at wide receiver. Now you're talking about you're making a game day call-up for a Kwame Lassiter or Stanley Morgan, and you're just kind of not feeling the most optimistic about that wide receiving core. Shed Jackson probably would not get the call up, but I do want to make note of him also on the practice squad. I bet one of these guys play. And I'll trust James's reporting and go with Chase will be able to go. We'll see about Higgins, which is good because Chase is awesome. This is one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL. The numbers are a bit pushed down because of the rough start to the year that Joe Burrow had, but really in the past month and change, the Bengals offense has gotten going, and so too has Ja'Marr Chase. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. This is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Here's why I love Prize Picks. It is just you, against the numbers. You are not battling thousands of players. It's not the pros, the sharks. You pick more than or less than. You can mix and match sports. You can do NFL and NBA. I love their reboot policy. If a player gets injured in the first half of a game, does not return, your picks stay in play. PrizePicks is the only DFS platform with an injury insurance policy. And I love the flex play. I've been writing the flex plays on all my picks because then I just need to get 2 out of 3 right. I pick my 3 favorite player stat projections, go more than, less than. I've hit 4 in a row. Only one of which would have been all 3. I love the flex play. It's making me some nice money there. Here are my picks this week. Geno Smith, give me the more than passing yards, I should say, this week. Give me the more than Christian Kirk receiving yards, which I don't love that one. That's why I do the flex play. Some potential blowouts this week, and I want to avoid those games altogether. More than Tyler Lockett receiving yards as well. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Other injury news I want to make note of. We'll spend some more time on some of these guys. Sam Hubbard, ankle injury. We'll come back to that one. Josh Tupou did not participate Wednesday with a shoulder. He's a backup defensive lineman. The Texans' ground game sucks anyway. Not too worried, even if he can't go against Houston. Again, limited on Wednesday normally means you're playing unless you got hurt on Wednesday. So I think Jalen Davis will be fine. Akeem Davis-Gaither will be okay. We'll talk about Charlie Jones. Cam Taylor-Britt is fine. We'll also spend time on Cam Taylor-Britt, by the way, because he's been really good so far this season. More on Hubbard to come. But what is your concern level right now over the various Bengals injuries at this point? Namely, I think it's Hubbard and the 2 receivers. Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comment section. Hubbard's the one to monitor here because the Bengals have a short week after this. They play Thursday night football against the Ravens. You go from a game, you go Sunday, Thursday. It's a very tough stretch to deal with if you are the Bengals. It's not a fun stretch to deal with either. So they'll be cautious. So I lean toward Hubbard being able to go. If he does anything Thursday, I think he'll play. If he is a DNP again, that's a real red flag for his status. It was only the Wednesday practice report. We'll know more in the coming hours, but this is the non-receiver one to monitor. Meanwhile, Charlie Jones kind of sounds like growing buzz. He has a shot to play this week against the Houston Texans. He has been designated to return from IR. He had missed the previous 5 games with a thumb injury. He has 21 days to practice, then can be activated back to that 53-man roster. If the Bengals are down another receiver, it would certainly make sense to designate Jones to return. There already is an open roster spot because they had to put Tyson Anderson on injured reserve. That could go to Charlie Jones, which is still a bit thin at safety, but you could start making some game day call-ups for Michael Thomas to help out on special teams. So I would not be shocked if Jones returns this week, which would be a nice boost to your return game, especially since you might need Trenton Irwin to play receiver and not special teams. We are 75 subs away from 5.5K, and I want to get to 6K before the end of that Ravens game on Thursday night. If you haven't already, hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/BengalsTV. I did want to give some love to Cam Taylor-Britt as well. Under the radar, sneakily, quietly, I think Cam Taylor-Britt is having one of the better seasons among corners in the NFL. He's allowing a 56.5% completion rate, which is very solid. Anything under 60 as an outside corner means you're doing something right. You're at least good in that number. If you're at 50, you're like Jalen Ramsey and Surtain stuff. He is on pace to allow 800 yards. It's a little bit high. It's not terrible, though, for the volume of targets he's had. 2 touchdowns, most importantly, 3 interceptions, and 7 pass breakups. I'll allow a few yards if you get interceptions. He's had a tough set of matchups. He's gone up against DK Metcalf basically one-on-one, held up super well. I have been very impressed by CTB. I don't think Chidobe Awuzie is going to be back next year, but I think Cam Taylor-Britt has already emerged as a viable number 1 corner for the Bengals this season.